Hello and welcome to the Culture Swally, a podcast dedicated to Scottish news and pop culture. My name is Nicky and I'm joined as always by the man who I have heard from reliable sources is Valley at the Cheeky Cheeky. It's Greg. How are you today, Greg?
Very well. Who are these reliable sources?
I can't name my sources. A good journalist never reveals their sources, Greg. But let's just say I've heard from multiple sources that you are Valley at the Cheeky Cheeky. How are you? How's everything going this week?
Good. It's been the school holidays here, so I had a little bit of time off work. We went away to a hotel up in Ras Al Khaimah for a night and chilled out a bit and drank too much and swam in the sea and all the things that one does on holiday. What about you?
Oh, lovely. Yeah, everything's good with me. Hopefully I sound a bit better than I did in the last episode because I've had all my stitches out, so my mouth is on the road to recovery. Yeah, all good. Nothing much exciting happening, to be perfectly honest. It's coming into, late autumn, winter in Amsterdam, so it's getting a little bit colder. The leaves are falling from the trees. It's lovely. It's a lovely evening. Although it's funny, we have this week, it's been the EDM week in Amsterdam, which they do every year. So it's Electronic Dance Music Festival. And across the road from our apartment, there is a nightclub. And it's fine. Our apartment's on the back of the building, so we never hear anything from this nightclub. It's great. And the nightclub, it's like underground. So you kind of, the entrance is there and then it's all under, so you don't hear anything. But they must have been open for 24 hours yesterday for this event because I went out to walk the dog at 7 a.m. and there was like loads of people outside, like casualties of, and I presume the club had just closed, like absolute casualties of war. There was one girl puking in the bushes. There was someone sat there drinking a bottle of wine, smoking a joint. And it's like, oh, okay. So walk the dog, fine, okay. Must have closed there late this evening. But then when I took him out for his lunchtime walk around about 1 o'clock, the club was still going. And there was about 10 people outside. And I'm not joking. They would not have looked out of place outside like a pub in Scotland. Like there was one guy who must have been in his 50s. And he looked like a scrotum. It's like bald head, really wrinkled, just genuinely looked like a bossack. And he had on like cargo shorts, this tie-dye t-shirt, like little shades, like Morpheus from the Matrix, but they had legs and, just standing there. And I could hear the music coming from the club and he's just dancing whilst he's smoking his fag and enjoying himself, living his best life. Good for him. But good for him, I think we know someone who will probably be like that.
We know somebody who
probably more
somebody who is like that,
like a scrotum. Yeah, a scrotum with a Brazilian, shall we say? So other than that, that's pretty much been my week.
So now that the weather, because I mean, the one thing that you'll know from living in Dubai that I kind of miss about living back home is the seasonality. So while it will cool down a wee bit here, it's never like jacket weather. And do you find, as the temperature starts to drop, it's a bit of a consolation that you can start wearing like your favourite warmer jackets and get your scarf on and your hat and your gloves? Yeah,
definitely. I mean, I've noticed I go for a run most mornings, so my shorts have been put away. I'm now wearing my running trousers and my t-shirts have kind of been put away. It's the long sleeve tops now.
Like Rocky.
But yeah,
a pair of Chuck Taylors on.
Like Rocky.
Loads of Dutch kids running behind you as you run up some steps.
No, unfortunately not. No Chuck Taylors. No, it's Saucony Ride 13s that I rock. But I have noticed, when walking the dog, it's I've got my Carhartt fleecy jacket out and the hats are out, and I haven't got to glove stage yet. It's not that cold, but it's weird. Like, one day last week it was like 8 degrees in the morning, and then the next day it was 16 degrees at the same time, just the next day. It's bizarre, the weather here. It just kind of changes, but it's on the turn. So, I think in the next few days it will be very much thicker jackets will be in order.
Speaking of Rocky, don't ask me why it's taken me sort of 12 years to do this, but I had never watched any of the Expendables films. And when we were away this week, it was on the telly, like the first one. So I think I missed the first. I missed like the first maybe 20 minutes of it. I couldn't really quite believe what what I was watching. I couldn't decide whether everybody's just having a laugh and they're not taking it too seriously, or wait, with Stallone, you just never know. You just never know if he's in on the joke or not.
I think he is in those films. I think he is. Yeah. He has to be. I think he went kind of meta a long time ago. In fact, I would say Tango and Cash is a perfect example of when Stallone kind of went meta, because in one of the opening scenes, he takes down this truck with a little gun, and one of the other cops says to him, "Who do you think you are, fucking Rambo or something?" And was it Stallone says something like, "No, I'm better than Rambo."
It says Rambo was a pussy.
That's the one. Yeah, Rambo was a pussy. That's when I think Stallone went meta. So no, I genuinely think The Expendables is not a piss take, but it is him having a bit of a laugh.
Right.
Like, kind of, look at this. Because come on, look at everyone he gets together for those films. I mean, it's got like Jet Li,
Randy Couture,
Lundgren, Statham. Yeah, it's all, I think it's a bit of a laugh, really.
Yeah.
I hope. Anyway.
I hope it's so. I just watched it. Paul was like, what are you watching? I was like, I'm not really sure. I thought I was watching a Sylvester Stallone film, but I feel like I'm watching Saturday Night Live or National Lampoon doing a Sylvester Stallone film, but Sly's in it with all these other famous people. I
mean, I'd miss those type of films that kind of don't take themselves too seriously. Like, I think you had... I don't know if you've ever seen the one he did with Arnie about maybe 8 years ago, Escape Room.
Yeah, that was quite good.
Escape Plan.
I quite liked that one, yeah.
Yeah, it was.
Good, yeah.
But again, didn't take itself too seriously.
Yeah.
I would say, like, nowadays, the closest we have to kind of 80s action films that kind of don't take themselves too seriously, and I know you don't really watch these, but I genuinely cannot recommend them enough. They are so fucking good, is the Fast and Furious series.
Oh, yeah.
Like, they are so good. I know, I was like you. I was exactly like you. Like, I'm not watching that pish. My wife made me watch the first one. First one is, it's Point Break, but with cars. Yeah. It's amazing. But I think the second one's good. Third one is crap. Fourth one's okay. And then it gets to like the fifth one and they're just like, you know what? Let's have fun with these. And they just go mental. They are so good. I cannot recommend them enough because they're just hilarious, just nonsense, which is what is missing. It's like 80s action films. Like, you don't get them nowadays, and that's what's missing. I can't tell you how many times I go back and watch stuff like, okay, it wasn't 80s, but like Demolition Man. Yeah. You're never going to get a film like that nowadays. Like, come on, that's a brilliant film.
I watched maybe last year after the Rewatchables podcast did it. I watched Cobra. That's a tough watch. Cobra is a tough watch in the 2020s. It really is.
I thought you were going to say it's a tough one.
Yeah, well, it is that as well, to be honest. Unless you got a thing for Bridget Nielsen, as Arnie, as Sly obviously did, So
yeah, certainly did. Why did you think it was a tough watch? Just not politically correct, or just not?
No, it's not. It's not politically. I mean, it's not politically correct, but that's not what I mean. It's just, it's the whole kind of maverick kind of police officer sort of turning up. Like, even his name was like Cobranetti or something like that. Just so Cobranetti, like Italian guy. Like, and like the dialogue, like there's the scene at the beginning when, for reasons that aren't clear, one of these like cult guys like holds a supermarket up at gunpoint, and like loads of innocent bystanders are just getting fucking blown away. You know what I mean? Like, not shot, blown away. And then Sly comes in, he starts talking to the guy, he's got him at gunpoint, and the guy's like, "Don't come any closer, I'll blow this whole place up." And Sly's like, "Go ahead, I don't shop here." I remember in the 1980s, a line like that would have had my dad on the floor laughing, right? Because he liked the whole sort of Western John Wayne, lone gunman, saves the day type thing. But like in the modern time, you're like, what the fuck? It's just like Sly just making his own lines up as he goes along. Improving.
It's got me in hysterics. I've seen the film. I haven't watched it for a while, but even you describing it had me laughing and chuckling at it. And that's what I miss. You don't get that kind of thing nowadays. I want to see Arnie, stick around, or he's dead tired. You don't get that nowadays. Come on, bring that back. That's what they were trying to do with the Expendables.
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah. I'll maybe give there's only 3, right? I'll give 2 and 3 a spin.
Is there a fourth? I can't remember. Maybe you're right. Maybe there's only 3. I think I've only seen 3. Well, okay. Well, wonderful. I'm glad to hear that you were enjoying a little bit of Sylvester Stallone in Ras Al Khaimah. Okay. Right. Well, this is normally the point where I would say to you, right, Greg, shall we have a look at the news? However, we're going to do something a little bit different this week on the podcast. Don't worry, we are going to have a look at a couple of news stories after we've discussed what we're about to discuss next. However, we could not let this episode go by because unfortunately last week, as we're recording this, so it'll be probably 3 weeks ago when you're listening to the podcast, we unfortunately lost, I don't think it's too much to say, an absolute national treasure in terms of Scotland. We lost Anthony Robert McMillan, otherwise known as Robbie Coltrane, who passed away at the age of 72. And Greg and I really wanted to just have a little bit of a chat about Robbie because I don't know about you, Greg, but for me, Robbie had always just been around in terms of my lifetime. Like, he just always been there. And just such a wonderful actor, a wonderful man. I always think it tells a lot about a person when they die, how the press and how other people react. Mm-hmm. And there's not a single bad word been said about Robbie. Sometimes when people die, people might be like, he was a bit of a tight cunt, or, he was a bit of a moany bastard at times. Everyone has just been outpouring of just like, this guy was just an absolute legend and just the most down-to-earth, nicest man you would ever meet.
Yeah, I mean, I'm like you. He always seems to have been on the telly when sort of growing up, I remember, I guess I must have been aware of him already, but I remember when I lived in England in the late 80s, they repeated Tutti Frutti on BBC Two, and I recognised them there. You know what I mean? I remember the continuity announcer starring Robbie Coltrane and Emma Thompson, Tutti Frutti, and I was like, oh, it's him, and then I was sort of too young for it, I didn't really appreciate it then. But it's just like the things that he kind of popped up in the 80s and 90s. I think my favourite, or one of my favourite performances of his, and it's not a Scottish programme, but he plays Samuel Johnson, who created the first dictionary on Blackadder the Third. And the whole exchange between him and Rowan Atkinson's like, or Blackadder rather, is making up words just to annoy him when he's trying to get Prince George's royal endorsement for the book. It's just hilarious, and it's still hilarious. Like sometimes these older comedies and performances, like when you come back to them, they don't always stand up. But it's just it's absolutely hilarious. And when I was in America in May, and I was jet lagged, and I was kind of flicking through the channels, and I ended up watching Krull, that sort of British film attempt at a Star Wars film, and he's in that. So I think him and Tucker Jenkins from Grange Hill and a whole host of British acting royalty appear in this bizarre fucking science fiction film. Can't decide whether it's Lord of the Rings or Star Wars. And again, it's just, I think because he's such a big guy and his presence, even in like a small role like that, or something like Cracker, which he was absolutely fantastic in. Just such a great actor.
I'm similar to you. For some reason, my first kind of memory of Coltrane is the opening titles to Tutti Frutti. And I remember distinctly, I have this memory of it being on TV and the opening titles, and I used to always sing, Tutti Frutti. Yeah. And I just remember those opening titles. I don't know because it must have been on late for the age I was at the time. So I'd imagine I was probably allowed to watch the opening and then bed you.
Yeah.
Like, you can have your little dance to Tutti Frutti and then off to bed. And, it's such a mum thing to kind of say. But I vividly remember that. And as you say, he had so many great roles. I mean, Cracker, which we'll come on to, is something I've never really watched.
Right.
And I don't know why. I've downloaded every episode of Cracker in the last couple of days, and I'm going to sit and watch it because I don't know why I never watched it, because it is right up my street. But as you say, I kind of knew him.
Yeah, you feel...
From those Tutti Frutti opening titles. I felt like I knew him, and I don't know if it's maybe because I'd seen him in the comic strip Presents, or if Al Fresco or a Kick Up the 80s or Laugh, I Nearly Paid My License Fee had been on in the background.
Yeah.
And it wasn't till, I think about 11, 12-year-old Nicky was obsessed with the young ones.
Yeah.
And he pops up in a couple of episodes. The most famous probably, and it's whenever I think of Robbie Coltrane, this is what I always think of. And it's in Bambi, which is probably the young ones, maybe their most famous episode. It's the one when they go on University Challenge.
Yeah.
And at the very end of the episode, this chocolate eclair drops on the students from Scumbag College. And it cuts to Robbie Coltrane sat in a white coat, dressed as a scientist, with an elephant behind him. And he says, "Oh no, this sticky bun is covered with human beings the size of amoebas. Here, Jumbo, get that down your esophagus." And feeds the elephant the sticky bun. And for some reason, just whenever I think of Coltrane, I think about, "Here, Jumbo, get that down your esophagus." Or I think about his other favourite role of mine, which is Sister Innoviolata of the Immaculate Conception from Nuns on the Run.
I remember going to see that at the cinema in Barrow and Furness, and it was a 12, and I think it was the second 12 rated movie that I managed to get into. The first one being Batman, the 1989 Batman,
the first 12 rated movie ever
exactly
in the UK.
Yeah, exactly. And I was only just 11, but I was always quite tall. I remember me and a couple of my pals went to see Nuns on the Run, and the scene when he has just been teaching the nuns to play netball. And then,
it's basketball.
It's basketball.
Yeah. He does a slam dunk.
He's sitting in the changing rooms and they're all in the shower. And like all these naked girls. And me and my pals were like, "Oh, look at that." You know? And he's sitting there sweating. "Well, I'll go in a minute."
But there is a scene where he sat there and one of the nuns reaches over to grab her towel and there is a nipple right in his face. Which, his acting is phenomenal. Yeah, no, it's basketball. He literally does a slam dunk. That's kind of what I obviously did. Robbie Coltrane, remember him for, really. But of course, he was such a wonderful actor. You know, we've mentioned Cracker. And of course, later on, we forget. I mean, I kind of think as Robbie is kind of our person, like our generation. But for millions and millions of others, he's Hagrid.
Yeah, of course.
In Harry Potter.
Yeah.
And to have that kind of role is just phenomenal. And again, it spoke out that I read quite a few quotes from the child actors that were in Harry Potter, just speaking about how wonderful Robbie was on set to them.
Yeah. And
what a lovely guy, and just so warm and lovely.
I read that J.K. Rowling pushed really hard to get him as Hagrid. Like he was in her mind when she was writing the character in the books, I believe. And she pushed for him to get it. And, it really... I was all surprised that it didn't lead... Because, apart from, the Bond films, when he's in GoldenEye, and then they bring the character back in again in The World Is Not Enough. I don't know if it was a choice or not. I know that he lived just outside Falkirk. I think, as from what I believe, he liked living in Scotland, And I wonder if maybe that's why we didn't see him in more sort of Hollywood films. Because you would think, starring in Harry Potter, all those, well, maybe not all the child actors, but certainly Daniel Radcliffe, who, just between you, me and the listeners, I don't think is a very good actor, by the way, even now. But he's gone on to be successful. And then, of course, Emma Watson's she's probably done the best out of all of them. And she's done a lot of, she's a good actress. When you thought, well, you think Coltrane would do a bit more stuff abroad, but maybe it was a choice, maybe he didn't like being away from his family for long periods of time and things like that.
It could be because, as you've mentioned, the the things that he did, like the Harry Potter films, they were all filmed in the UK. And those 2 Bond films also would have been filmed in the UK. So maybe he just didn't like traveling, flying. I don't know. That's something I never really thought of. But you're right. He could have maybe gone on to bigger and better things, but I guess he was just content.
Yeah.
But it shows the mark of the man that Robbie was, that here he is in the middle of the run of the Harry Potter films. And I think this was just around about the time the 4th one came out. So it's probably at its apex, Harry Potter.
Yeah.
Robbie Coltrane, Hagrid, big character, doing amazing sterling work. And then he pops up as Davy, the dial-a-bus driver in Still Game. And I watched that episode yesterday again, and he's fucking brilliant in it. The range he has in that episode is phenomenal. Like, he's so good. Just this, it's a little role.
Yeah.
Davey, the bus driver that goes mental, but he's fantastic in it. And for him to do that, and I mean, I think that was that series 3 maybe of Still Game?
Possibly,
It was still, it wasn't, massively popular as it became to be. That for me shows the depth of Coltrane's character, that he would be like, I've got a weekend free. Come on, I'll go and do this job for a few days, help you out.
I wonder as well if it was like, for him, he sort of started off in, in Scotland, and in the UK, he started off doing that type of comedy, like doing the stuff with the comic strip and whatnot, and this would be a chance to get back to his roots a wee bit and have some fun with those guys and the Still Game set and whatnot, And to your point, it's be a weekend free, just kind of pop over to Glasgow and shoot some scenes.
Yeah, but I think he never forgot his roots. I read a beautiful article the other day from Elaine C. Smith, and she worked on him, of course, in, I think, was it Alfresco or Laugh, I Know They Paid My License Fee? Alfresco, I think. Right. She worked with him. And she knew Robbie, and she said, it was funny, like her, Tony Roper and Jonathan Watson and Robbie were all very close, and he kind of referred to them as the kids, even though Tony Roper's older than Coltrane was when he passed away, but Tony Roper, I think, is like 82, so 10 years older, but he still referred to them as the kids, and he always took an interest. And she said she was out shopping with her daughter, and they bumped into Robbie, and it was like, I hadn't seen him for years, and it was just like meeting an old friend, and they went and had a coffee. And Elaine was doing panto at the time, and she said, I had to run to the theatre for something. And she's like, oh, we better go. And Robbie was like, oh, it's fine, I'll stay with your daughter. Our daughter was 19, by the way, before, So Elaine ran back to the theatre and then came back, and he said, Robbie and her daughter had just been chatting for an hour. And Robbie, said, thanks, good to see you, and left. And the daughter was like, I can't believe you just left me with Hagrid for an hour. He was just the nicest man, just asked me, all about her. And I think that, again, says the kind of mark of the man. And apparently whenever people have said that they met him, he didn't want to talk about what he'd been doing or showbiz. He wanted to talk about nature or fishing or, interests that he had. Nothing about anything to do with TV or film. He just wanted to talk about the world and what was going on. And, just such a lovely guy.
Of course, he was a big fan of classic cars. I think he did a sort of tour, a sort of show on BBC 4 years ago, where he drove on some of the UK's B roads and doing sightseeing and things in a variety of classic cars. That was apparently, along with acting, that was one of his passions.
I think this kind of sums up as well Noel Fielding, very famous UK comedian from the Mighty Boosh, the presenter now of the Bake Off. He was in a Kate Bush music video for Deeper Understanding with Robbie Coltrane. And he put out an Instagram post, and he said, it was a surreal experience doing this, and I look back now and realise how lucky I was to have the opportunity to hang out with this man. He was everything I wanted him to be. And Robbie and I laughed the whole time, and we kept in touch for ages afterwards. He would send me messages at odd times of the day from different countries. Oh, so I guess that answers our question about whether he was scared to travel or not. And at random times of the day, and they would make me howl with laughter. I wish I still had those messages. They remain in my heart somewhere. Rest in peace, you mischievous, twinkly powerhouse of a man. And that kind of is a perfect summarisation of Robbie Coltrane. A massive, twinkly powerhouse of a man.
Yeah, that's a really nice tribute.
Anything else to say on Robbie
No,
Coltrane?
I think. I mean, that seems like a nice way to round it up, I think.
Okay. Well, R.I.P. Robbie, you are in our hearts. You obviously weren't famous enough to get a special like Sean Connery was, but we've given you the start of this episode. But genuinely, I was genuinely gutted when
me too.
I read, and I think I broke the news to you, and you sent me a message. I think you had a few beers at the time, and you sent me back a message saying, "I'm so caught up about this."
What have I been doing? It was last week. It was last Saturday, wasn't it? Yeah, I had a few beers. But no, but I was. You know.
But genuinely, yeah. No, it's strange when we've both suffered losses of parental figures, and it cuts. Obviously nothing can compare to that. But it's always weird when someone famous that you really look up to, and I know we felt it with Connery. I know I felt it with Bowie. I felt it with Darius like a couple of months ago. Genuinely, I was really caught up about that. But Coltrane really did hit. So I'm really saddened at his loss. Yeah. So anyway, right. Because we've spoken about that, we are going to cut the news a little bit shorter and just do one story each this week. So shall we have a look at what's been going on in Scotland this week, Greg?
Cue the jingle.
Hello, this is the Outer Hebrides Broadcasting Corporation, and here is what's been going on in the news.
Okay, so what have you seen this week, Greg, that has caught your eye and you want to share with me and our lovely listeners?
Well, I thought I would take a bit of a different approach to the news this week. So rather than people masturbating in public or various other horrendous things that we occasionally discuss on the Swally, or regularly discuss, I found out an article about Golden Wonder crisps.
Oh, wow.
And, as a kid growing up in Scotland in the 1980s, Golden Wonder crisps seemed to be like the only crisps until like sort of kind of Smith's crisps came along with that cool advert with the potatoes singing underground. So I found this article about it. Remember, that was a great advert. So unfortunately, a lot of the company Golden Wonder's historical documents and files got lost in a fire, but they're marking their 75th anniversary. You don't see them around as much anymore, but the founder of the company, his granddaughter, has spoken for the first time about how her grandfather started the company. So Golden Wonder was started by a baker called William Alexander in Edinburgh in the 1940s, when he came up with the idea, which completely changed his life and his family's life. And after finishing his morning's work in the bakery, he didn't want all his machines just to be sitting there not doing anything all day. So he started frying finely sliced potatoes, into the fryers, which they would normally use to make donuts for the bakery, and then started making crisps. So by 1964, so just under 20 years later, Golden Wonder was the biggest crisp company in the UK. It was the first crisp company to make a different flavour of crisps, because up until 1962, the only crisps you could get were ready salted, and I don't know anybody apart from my wife who will choose a packet of ready salted crisps out of a bag. Do you the same? Oh.
I like ready salted. I'd rather have cheese and onion
or
salt and vinegar, but I do like a pack of ready salted crisps. Okay. Yeah.
Well, the first flavoured crisp was cheese and onion, which that was from Golden Wonder. So William's eldest son, Norman, was a radiographer at the Royal Infirmary in Edinburgh, but his dad talked him into giving up his career in medicine and joining the crisp business with his dad. He was even dispatched to North America to buy special machinery that would de-starch the potatoes. So Jennifer remembers, that's his granddaughter, she can remember going to the factory with her granddad, and her granddad given her a big poly bag of crisps straight off the assembly line. And she said the taste of hot crisps, fresh, is amazing, apparently. So I've never had hot crisps before. Unfortunately, over the years, Golden Wonder sort of struggled to compete a little bit with, despite having 4 sites in the UK, 2 in Scotland, 1 in Widnes, the north of England, and 1 in Corby in the Midlands. They started to struggle a little bit. Pot noodles, our younger listeners might not know, were created by Golden Wonder. And I remember when I read that when I was a kid that pot noodles had the Golden Wonder logo on them.
Yeah,
but they were created at Golden Wonder's Welsh site in Crumlin. But unfortunately, Walker's took over as the UK's leading crisp manufacturer. Their decision to sell cheese and onion crisps in a blue packet, when everybody knows that it should be in a green packet, apparently still causes controversy. All the other crisp manufacturers took their cue from Golden Wonder because they packaged the cheese and onion in green packaging. Walker's only did it, they think, just to be controversial and get attention, which obviously worked. So unfortunately, they closed their last Scottish factory in Broxburn in 1987. There was a £54.5 million buyout by Bridgepoint Capital. But now Golden Wonder crisps are owned by an Irish crisp manufacturer called Tato, which they make good crisps, Tato. I don't know if you've had them from Ireland. They're worth a bite. And I found some Golden Wonder crisps. I think I sent you a picture the other week. I'd gone to Spinneys and I went and bought a load of crap. And I found the packet of Golden Wonder smoky bacon crisps, and very nice they were too. So yeah, I thought maybe some facts about Golden Wonder. I know that we like talking about food.
That's
in this
wonderful.
valley. Yeah, it's Golden Wonderful.
I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. However, my memory is Walkers didn't exist in Scotland until about the mid-90s.
Yeah.
And then they seemed to take over, probably along about the time like Gary Lineker started doing their adverts. Mm-hmm. For me, it was always Golden Wonder.
Yeah.
And I have read online about this Mandela effect, about people saying, no, Walkers used to have cheese and onion crisps in a green pack and salt and vinegar in the blue, and then they swapped them over. No, that never happened. It's always been that way. But I wonder if people are thinking about Golden Wonder crisps. Maybe thought about that from their childhood and they've misremembered. I will go on record to say I always preferred Golden Wonder to Walkers. Mm-hmm. And I can say that without any xenophobia because I only discovered a few years ago that Golden Wonder were actually Scottish.
Right.
So, hand on heart, I have always preferred Golden Wonder crisps to Walkers. There was something about Golden Wonder, they were always a little bit more browner, like charred. Yeah. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, they had a bit of more texture about them. Walkers are all very
anemic,
thin chips, but Golden Wonder had like a little bit of bubble, and some of them were brown, and you would get, you know what, do you miss that? You don't get that. There would always be at the bottom of a Golden Wonder pack this like one little brown crisp that. It tasted like ash when you bit into it. It was like cheese and onion ash, but it was always in every packet. And I genuinely miss Golden Wonder.
Well, you can still get them, but they're just sort of harder to find. I mean, when I was a kid, it was Golden Wonder or Smith's crisps, and I think Smith's made like Monster Munch and stuff as well. And I remember Smith's made some where you put the salt in yourself. Remember the salt came in a wee blue bag?
Yeah.
And you...
Salt and shake,
yeah. But like, and they call the sort of like, where my granny lived in the Milton in Glasgow, or in Kilsyth where my other granny lived, if you walked to the local shop, it was always Golden Wonder that they had there. You would find Smith's crisp if you went into town or something. But, so like you kind of grew up on them. And they're called Golden Wonder because Golden Wonder are the type of potatoes that William felt were the best type of potatoes to make crisps. So that's I think that's why they're quite unique compared to other crisp manufacturers.
There is a wonderful documentary on Channel 4, and my wife and I watched it last year, and I know you've had an issue this week in terms of being able to access the 4 app. But I would say to our listeners, we watched it's a series called The Secret World of, and it's Joe Brand narrating it.
Right.
But it goes into, so it's the secret world of chocolate, biscuits, ice cream, burgers, sweets, sandwiches, cereal, and crisps is one of the episodes. And we watch this episode and they go into the whole history of Golden Wonder and the whole history of Walkers and Smiths and how like Walkers bought out Smiths and like the guy from Smiths didn't want to sell and it was like a Mexican standoff, but well, that would have been tortilla chips. Or it was like a Lancashire standoff, and then they ended up selling it. It's an amazing documentary. It's 47 minutes long. It's on Channel 4. It's called The Secret World of Crisps, and I would highly recommend you to watch that to get a bit more insight into the big crisp history. But yeah, I agree. That was what I remember when I was a kid. It was Golden Wonder, Smith's Salt and Shake, and Space Raiders.
Yeah. So, like I think next time I'm down at the shop, if I find some Golden Wonders, I'll stock up, keep them in the cupboard, maybe introduce my kids to them.
You certainly should. Post a photo on the Instagram.
I will.
And let us all know what Golden Wonder you have.
Okay. So that was my first new news story, such as it was. What's your story this week?
I've said this a couple of times in the Swally before, Greg, but when we envisaged the Swally, this is the kind of story I envisaged us covering on the Culture Swally. So, this is from the Daily Record last week, and the headline is, Scot's mum all shook up after discovering the face of Elvis in a McDonald's ketchup pot. The article reads, a Scots mum was stunned to discover the face of Elvis staring back at her from a pot of McDonald's ketchup. Lisa Ringsell from Dundee did a double take when she glanced down at the near-empty pot of tomato sauce and spotted the uncanny likeness to the King peering back on Sunday night. Striking images of the saucy singer show a clearly defined head complete with trademark quiff, eyes, mouth and sideburns. After taking a quick snap of the doppelganger dip, the 27-year-old scooped the last of the sauce out, meaning Elvis had left the building. Before she binned the container, you can tell this, the writer has had a fucking field day with this article. Lisa said, I was just dipping my chicken nuggets into the sauce pot, and at the end, I saw a tiny face staring at me, and it appeared to be Elvis. I looked in the pot, debating if there was enough sauce to dip again, and then I saw him. As soon as I saw him, immediately I said, what? And showed my partner. I said to him, this looks like Elvis. I took a photo straight away and showed some friends. They were just laughing about it. They could see the resemblance too. The full-time mum and 26-year-old removal company worker ordered a takeaway from the Longtown Road branch of McDonald's in Dundee at 8:50 p.m. on Sunday. That is vital details, Greg. The pair ordered two mayo chickens, 2 double cheeseburgers, and 20 chicken nuggets. Fucking hell, did they have guests round? And they arrived with 2 pots of sweet and sour sauce and 2 ketchups. As Lisa was about to dunk a chicken nugget in one of the near-empty pots, she peered inside and was stunned to see the King staring back at her. Lisa, who is a mum to Caris Ewan, 6, and Daisy Ewan, 4,
right,
showed Dean before sending a picture to pals. She said, I don't usually notice these things, which made it even funnier. I get more excited with silly things. Dean wasn't as excited as me, but I still thought it was funny. It's something I won't forget for a long time. My mum's an Elvis fan. She loved it.
Fuck's sake.
The takeaway was just for me and my partner. As the kids had already eaten, why are you ordering fucking 20 chicken nuggets if your kids have eaten? After I took the picture, I dipped my chicken nugget and it was the last of my sauce pot. If it wasn't for the food, I would have kept it, but it would have turned bad, so I couldn't keep it. But it's made me more likely to look for faces in the future. Now, Greg, I have just sent you this image of Elvis in the pot. Now, is it me, or does this look more like Alvin Stardust than Elvis?
It looks like a sort of a kind of Funko Pop version of Elvis. But yeah, I mean, it could be Alvin Stardust. I mean, fuck, it could be Gary Glitter. Could be anybody.
I wasn't going to mention Uncle Gary on this podcast, Greg, but yeah, I did think, no, come on, it looks like Alvin Stardust. Yeah. It doesn't look like Elvis. It looks fuck all like Elvis. I know.
Maybe it looks like Alvin Stardust with one of those sort of head microphones that Madonna made really popular on her Vogue tour in the 1990s, you know?
So, when we envisaged this podcast, I thought about this like what are the fucking shitest news stories in Scotland that a newspaper has to fucking trawl the depths of disparity to come up with a news story? Like, fuck's sake, we need someone for page 14. What are we going to come up with? Why is this made national news? Why is this is the Daily Record? This is Scotland's national newspaper. Why the fuck is this made? Real Scots read the Record and Sunday Mail. That's what they told us back in the day. Why are they reporting about this? About chicken nuggets?
You know, I think one of the problems that newspapers have now is that they have, obviously they have to have a website, like an online, and you got to keep that news going all the time. You know what I mean? I find there's things that would rarely have made the paper. You know what I mean? That back in the day, because you've only got a finite amount of pages to fill with news and sport and what's on the telly and the bingo numbers and maybe a lassie with her tits out if it's the Sun. You know, but because they're online, they kind of need to just story after story. I mean, there's been stories like this before in the past, like people that have seen like the face of Jesus on their toast. I remember that years ago. It wasn't a Scottish story. I can't remember, but I just remember but it was national news, or somebody who saw the face of Jesus and like the condensation in their window or something like that. You know.
Oh, Greg, I can tell you now. I've got the article up. So in the past, we have seen Rory McIlroy's face in a Danish pastry. We have seen Margaret Thatcher in a bottle top. We have seen Kate Middleton's face in a jelly bean. We've seen Jesus on a pair of socks. We have seen Jesus in a damp patch behind a sound system. Yep. We have seen, possibly my favourite, Jesus on a naan bread. We have seen...
But it figures that Jesus would have liked naan breads or like stuff like that, because he was obviously he's from Asia. You know,
we have seen... in fact, I'm going to send you this right now, and you tell me who this is meant to be. Okay. Because... Who's this meant to be, Greg?
I can see two eyes, a nose, like a big nose, I guess,
and a smile.
I don't know. Who is it supposed to be?
It's meant to be Susan Boyle in a Yorkshire pudding. So yeah, there's been a lot of this over the years, but yeah, come on, Elvis in a pot of ketchup. Just, I bet she's drawn that, and come on, it's ridiculous. It's Alvin Stardust, if anything. My Cuckachoo, that should have been the headline.
How do you feel about? Did you watch this recent movie about Elvis?
I did. I loved it.
Did you like it?
I loved it.
And are you a fan of Elvis?
I'm a bit worried about discussing this because I remember texting you at the time that I was watching this. However, much like when I told you Robbie Coltrane had passed away, I think you'd had a few shandies at the time. And the level of vitriol you had about Elvis was quite scaring. I was quite scared how much you were like, I fucking hate Elvis. So, yes, I really enjoyed the Elvis film. Would I say I was a fan of Elvis? No, I think he has some good songs. I don't mind Elvis, actually. But I know you're not a big fan of the King.
I'm not, like, you know, I mean, it does sound like I might have had one or two drinks the night that discussed Elvis. I'm not a fan of Elvis. I know that a lot of people are, and I know that to a lot of people he's very, very important, but I could never see what all the fuss was about, to be honest. You know, for somebody who had, for somebody who's like the majority of their kind of innovative and creative output came in the 1950s, and I know that the sort of 70s Elvis is very popular with people, but to me it just seemed like a bit of a caricature of himself, try to do kung fu in those fucking mad one-piece suits and stuff on the stage. But I would never deign to be horrible about Elvis because in public, because I know how important he is to a lot of people.
I text you when we're watching it, and I said, we're watching Elvis. He was fucking awesome. And you replied, agree to disagree. I said, suspicious minds? And you replied, fat just not my bag. I'm not saying the song's for shit, but to your point, often other acts have done better. That's when I said to you, actually, I prefer the Fine Young Cannibals version of Suspicious Minds.
Yeah.
And then you've said, if you don't eat your hula hoops like this as a kid, and you've taken a picture of you with hula hoops on all your fingers, then you were a fucking like Elvis. So that's what I thought you thought of Elvis.
What
Anyway,
what Elvis song did the Communards do again? Did they have a
the
song?
Communards.
I was watching Top of the Pops 1986 the other day, and because it's Jimmy Somerville with a woman with very deep voice that he duets with on it.
The Communards did "Don't Leave Me This Way."
That's it. Yeah, that's the one. Yeah.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, that's again, that's a better version.
It's a brilliant version. Yeah.
That's an amazing song. And I've just stumbled upon actually the 7 best. Oh, you know what? I'm a fucking convert to you now, Greg. Elvis was a shite bag. Like, listen, no, but listen to this, right? I found the 7 of the best Elvis covers, right? And
Right.
I've just looked at the top 3, and I wholeheartedly agree these are better than the originals. So we have done Fine Young Cannibals, Suspicious Minds. Yeah, I think we're both in agreement. That is a fucking belter of a song. Yeah,
Banger. Yep.
yeah, absolute banger. And then we've done the Communards. Yeah, Don't Leave Me This Way. So I will give you the next one. Always on my mind.
Pet Shop Boys.
The Pet Shop Boys.
Class.
Yeah.
Banger.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Fucking banger. Now, this could be a bit of debate. However, I loved this song. UB40, Can't Help Falling in Love.
Yeah. Again. Yeah.
Yeah.
Class.
Dolly Parton did a cover of In the Ghetto,
Right.
which I'm not really familiar with.
Yeah.
Billy Joel apparently did a cover of All Shook Up, which I'm not really familiar with either. And Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers did a cover of Wooden Heart, which again,
don't know
I'm
that
not
one.
really familiar with. But I would say that the Pet Shop Boys, Fine Young Cannibals, and the Communards, 3 absolute bangers.
Yeah.
And better than the original, I would say.
We should try and persuade Frankie Goes to Hollywood to get together again and do like Suspicious Minds or something.
Yeah.
I've been down a real rabbit hole of like 80s pop over the last couple of weeks. Like I've been watching those like that Top of the Pops, where there's like sort of Top of the Pops of a year. There's a lot of them on YouTube. The 1986 one was brilliant. I remember Sunita.
Yeah,
So
of course.
she is on that being interviewed, and they're showing footage of her in the 80s doing He's Got to Be So Macho, I think it was the song, right?
Yeah, that was it. Yeah.
She looks exactly the fucking same. I'm not exaggerating. Like, she looks exactly the same. She's not aged a second in like 35 years.
Yeah. There's something sinister about Sunita in terms of her aging, and because she keeps like pulling back her age, because I think she was in a newspaper article recently, and I can't remember what she said her age was. But if you look back, then she effectively released So Macho when she was 12. If you're led to believe the age she says she is now. And you're like, okay, I know the 80s was a different time. However, I don't think that was right or would have been allowed even then. So I'm not sure. But yeah, Sunita's a bit of a mystery. Yeah.
I mean, if she recorded it when she was 12, it does confirm my long-held suspicion that Simon Cowell is a
Well, that's why, in fact, I don't know if we should say that. Fuck it, it's a podcast. I mean, that's why Simon Cowell has kept Sunita around for all these years, because she has some dirt on it.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Without a shadow of a doubt. She has some absolute fucking golden wonder dirt on Simon Cowell. Yeah. And that's why he kind of continually pays her to be around.
Yeah.
So, well, that rounds up the Elvis news this week on the podcast. Have you seen anything else this week, Greg?
No, not seen anything else.
Okay, well, this is usually the time that I say, let's have a little word from our sponsors. But we have no sponsor this week, Greg. However, I want to take the time to talk about a wonderful podcast that is also on the Scottish network. So, Mums, Mysteries and Murder is presented by Marty and Effie, who delve into some amazing topics covering true crime and mysterious happenings. They give incredible local knowledge, and the insight they give to each episode is honestly, it's brilliant and so hilarious. They are so well researched and informative, and we are lucky enough to possibly be collaborating with them next month on a very special episode with more details to follow very soon. This is an episode you will not want to miss, so we hugely recommend Mums, Mysteries and Murder. But hey, don't take it from me and Greg, take it from Marty and Effie.
Hi, I'm Marty.
And I'm Effie.
And we would love you to come and join us on our podcast, Mums, Mysteries and Murder.
Each month we take turns telling you true crime stories and mysteries from our places of birth, Australia and Scotland.
I'm covering Australia.
What's your favourite thing about Australia, Marty?
It would have to be the weather and the meat pies.
The meat pies are strong in Australia.
The meat pie game is good.
Really? Oh. I'm covering Scotland.
What's your favourite thing about Scotland?
And macaroni pies and haggis. Haggis balls.
Macaroni. Macaroni should not be in a pie.
Have you tasted one though?
No, I don't need to. It's like Mars bars.
It's amazing. If you love podcasts that are on point, heavily researched and full of gruesome details, that's probably not us.
But if you do love a bit of true crime chat, Netflix recommendations and random banter, we do talk about last meals a lot, don't we?
Yeah, but it's a good topic.
Macaroni pie for your last meal.
Yes.
Meat pie. Then come join us where you get your podcasts, and we would love it if you would subscribe so you don't miss new episodes.
Come and follow us on Instagram at Mums, Mysteries and Murder.
Bye.
Bye.
So it was your choice this week, Nikki. So why don't you introduce the TV show that we're talking about today?
Thanks, Greg. Well, in May this year, we covered series 1 of this show. So I thought we should do the second series. So I'd like to look at the second series of 2003's The Book Group, airing in January of 2003, just 7 months after the end of the first series. It picks up with the members of the group around 6-7 months later, and we discover what Clare, Kenny, Rab, Janice, Fist, Dirka and Lachlan have been up to, and welcome a few new members to the cast and also to the group. Channel 4 put some promotion behind this, the second series of the show this time, and they showed the first series again, and they launched a nationwide poster campaign to promote the second series of the show. Now, I watched this when it first aired, Greg, and it was the only time I've actually watched the second series. The first series I watched multiple times, but the second series I'd only watched when it very first aired. Now, I know when we covered the first series, you said you'd never seen the first series, so I can only presume you hadn't seen the second series.
No, apart from accidentally watching the first 10 minutes of the first episode of the second series when I was watching the first series for the podcast. No, I'd never
cheeky
seen,
boy.
Yeah, I'd never seen it until this week.
I know you really enjoyed the first series of the book group, which we covered, say, back in May, I think, episode 46, available wherever you get your podcasts. How did you find the second series compared to the first?
I really enjoyed being with those characters again. You know, it was being with Janice and Rab and Clare and Kenny and Fist and Dirka. You know, I enjoyed this series, but it feels quite different to the first series in a few ways, you know?
Yeah.
And it definitely feels like they had a third series in mind, especially the last couple of episodes, you know, with where the characters go and stuff. I kind of felt like they might have expected to do a third series and kind of round it off, maybe. But
okay.
I don't know if you felt like that, but it's good. You know, the thing is, they're all it's really, really well acted, and the characters are all great to be around. You know what I mean? You find yourself looking forward to the scenes with Fist and Dirka arguing about stuff, and the standout for me in this series is Michelle Gomez. I just every time she was on the screen, I just thought she's absolutely fantastic. But the series itself, it does feel a little different. The character of Clare feels, to me, she feels quite different to how she is in the first series. You know, she's kind of, I don't know, she's sort of ditzier, and the whole dynamic when her sister turns up and things, and her relationship with Lachlan, played by James Lance. Yeah. What about you? How did you feel about the second series?
I'd agree with you. I think maybe that's why I didn't watch the second series so much. I really enjoyed it, watching it again, and I feel exactly as you did. It's so nice to be back with these characters. I fucking love these characters. Like, they're so great, and it's so nice. And the way it's shot, you almost feel like you're part of the book group. In a way. It's so welcoming. But the second series did lack something that the first series did. And I don't know if it's maybe the charm or the fact it was new. I mean, straight off the bat, why did they change the opening? The opening is a boat going across a loch.
Yeah.
Why? The opening was perfect of all the houses. And okay, I can see maybe why, because Claire obviously no longer lives in her house, but you can still have her plumping up the futon in the warehouse or something.
Yeah.
I didn't get the thinking behind it. Maybe I missed something massive in terms of this boat going across the loch, but I didn't get why that was the opening.
When I watched the first episode and that opening came on, I thought that we're going to start off like in the Highlands, maybe, you know, the story's going to start off in the Highlands. But the only time that the sort of closest we get to the Highlands is when Lachlan and Clare take her sister to Loch Lomond.
Yeah.
You know, that's
I
it.
think it kicks off well, and it offers a little bit more because, and they can do this because it's the second series, so the characters are already established.
Yeah.
So whereas the first series, let's take Rav for example, it's like episode 3 before it's kind of, it's not even confirmed, but it's kind of hinted on that he's bisexual with Jackie and stuff in series 1. Whereas episode 1, we're straight into him getting bummed by Anselmo. And there's no qualms about what's going on. It's not subtly done. Similarly, you know, in terms of things like about Fist being obsessed with her weight and Lachlan and Claire's relationship, there's no, if you haven't seen series 1 of this, don't expect to understand what's going on in series 2 straight away. You're meant to have seen series 1, and I like that because it's straight in. There's no backtracking of, oh, so yeah, Kenny's in a wheelchair because of this, and you know, Claire's living with Lachlan because Barney died. No, straight in, and here we go. Here's the characters, you know who they are, let's go. And I really like that because there's no backstory. You're instantly into it, and they don't waste time having to pad out the characters.
Yeah, but I think, you know, there's a bit of a disconnect though from the first series. Like, sort of Kenny's romantic motivations are a bit weird in this one because, like, in the first series, he's clearly very attracted to Claire, you know, and she's attracted to him as well, but she doesn't seem as sure about how to approach it as he does. But then in this one, you know, she's in this relationship with Lachlan. He meets Carol Ann, I think in the first episode, played by the late Kerry McGregor. And that lasts for like, he breaks up with her, and it's not, and you sort of think, oh, he's breaking up with her because of his feelings for Claire. But then he immediately, even though him and Claire have that moment when she comes round to his house, he ends up going straight out with the publisher's daughter. You know what I mean? I mean, I don't really understand. You know, that's why I thought, well, maybe they'll reconcile that one way or another in the third series. You know, or they were planning to do that. You know,
I don't know. I agree with that because in my notes, I'm like, why did he dump Carol Ann? And the reason he gives is because we're both in wheelchairs, like we look like a club or something. But that's not really the reason. But as you say, I thought it was because he likes Claire. But then, as you say, why does he go off for Harriet if that's the case? I mean, because she's a trophy shag, as he later describes her. But come on. Why?
I know, it's a bit strange. Yeah, and when Kerry McGregor came on the screen, and I was like, who is that actress? And I had to like immediately pause it and Google because it was getting on my nerves. And I forgot she was on X Factor after being in the book group. She was a singer-songwriter.
So I'm probably one of the few rare people that when I saw her on X Factor, I was like, that's her from the book group. Because I remember watching that series of the X Factor, and when she turned up, I was like, oh my God, that's her from the big group. So I'm probably one of the rare people that recognise her the back way, if that makes sense.
Yes, it does make sense. So I just it was a bit strange. Like I think of all the characters who kind of go on a journey from the first series into the second series, it's Janice. Played by Michelle Gomez, with her sort of talking herself into this job as a reporter for the newspaper on farming. But she's so funny. Whether it's in the last episode when she turns up to Claire's sister's wedding, visa wedding, and because she thinks it's Mexican dress, and she's got this sort of senorita dress on. She comes in and does that little foot tappy thing and goes, "Ollie!" She's just so. I like a really warm, funny, eccentric character, and she's just. I think Michelle Gomez is just brilliant at those types of roles.
For me, it's the physical comedy that she does in this series, in terms of, as you say, the coming in and dancing, and then obviously headbutting. What's it?
Spanish footballer.
Yeah, I can't remember his name right now. And then she falls on the floor, and then even prior to that some of the physical aspects that she does is just hilarious, and she just puts everything she's got into this role as Janice, and she's just absolutely outstanding.
It's her eyes, you know what I mean? She's got these really wide but really intense eyes, I just thought she was absolutely brilliant in it this time. Really, she was good in it. She's brilliant in the first series, but I really think in the second series, and it sort of makes it, she's Janice is in series 2. She's, you can see that transition from the first series to Janice in series 2. Whereas like with Clare, I just felt that the character changed a bit too much, going from series 1 to series 2.
I wonder if the character of Clare changed because, you can already see in the first episode when it's well established she's in a relationship with Lachlan, who is, of course, Barney's brother from Series 1. Barney obviously tragically died from a drug overdose. Lachlan, his brother. Claire and Barney in a relationship. You can tell straight away, and this is what I really liked about the subtle way they've done it. You can tell Claire's over it already. She's not into him. Yeah. She's trying to read Don Quixote. And Lachlan is such a beautiful, kind-hearted soul. His first line, he comes in, "I've brought you a branch." And she's like, "Oh, thanks, Muffin." She's reading Don Quixote. "Can we read it together?" "Oh, I haven't finished yet." And he's such a lovely soul, but you can just tell Claire is so over this. However, with the introduction of her sister Jean, gives her a bit of a dynamic spark. And it's great at the start of episode 2 when she finds out Jean's coming. She literally throws a tantrum, like, screaming and, "Oh no, she's horrible, she comes." Now, the introduction of Jean is I think, a good element to this series. And initially I didn't like the character, but I grew to really like her, and she was very funny. However, my main plot hole and point of Jean's character is she landed 20 minutes ago at Prestwick Airport from New York. And she's got time to get through passport control, get her bags, have a coffee, and still be annoyed that Lachlan and Claire are late picking her up. In what planet? I know this was 2003, but it was after 9/11, so airport restrictions were a little bit tighter. In what world does, her plane landed 20 minutes ago? Well, yeah, fine, we've probably still got an hour before she'll
Exactly.
come out. It's an international flight. It's not like we're flying into Aberdeen Airport and we're literally out within 5 minutes. It's Prestwick Airport. Okay, it's not the biggest. It's not like it's Schiphol or Dubai Airport. It's a small airport, but still, you're not going to be landing 20 minutes and sitting having finished a coffee.
No, for sure. She's. I wasn't quite as in love with the character as that. I think maybe she was added so Claire had another American character, and maybe is the sort of opposite of Claire in some ways. You know what I mean? Claire's a frustrated writer. She turns up, she manages to write and get a book published, just through sheer force of will, kind of pretty quickly. And then going back to Lachlan, the one thing about this series that struck me compared to the first series is, although there's not tons and tons of sex in it, when there is, it's pretty graphic. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, from the fairly graphic sex with Rab and the Spanish footballer to Clare, well, to that first episode when Lachlan sort of wakes Clare up and to have sex and pours olive oil all over himself and her. But when he runs off to get it, you see James Vance's bollocks swinging as he runs to the kitchen. And then when he's running back to the bed with the olive oil, he seems to be sort of fluffing himself a little bit on the way there. And then even like the episodes with Claire's sister when she's doing the escort research with Frank Gallagher, and we see Frank Gallagher's like ejaculate go flying up in the air. Oh, fucking hell! None of this in the first series.
I would agree. It does get a little bit more graphic, yeah, I mean, that scene with Frank Gallagher is hilarious. So it does get a little bit more graphic in terms of the sexual content. I don't know. I think Jean is kind of a welcome addition. Claire needed someone to kind of go against and butt heads with, because that was kind of the whole point of the first series. She was butting heads with everyone.
Yeah.
But and that's what I loved as we covered the first series. I loved it so much, the ending, that it just pans out of the window and they're all just happy and enjoying themselves and they're a proper group.
Yeah.
Whereas this series, it's quite disjointed and everyone has their issues, and Jean kind of comes in to maybe not destroy, but kind of break it apart a little bit. Mm-hmm. But I did find her irritating to start with, but then she did grow on me when she kind of, as she progressed throughout the series and she built herself up, and it's quite funny, you know, in terms of she's getting married to Frank Gallagher's character, Dougal, for visa reasons. And Claire's like, just throw them away. It's fine. It's like, you've been here for over a year. Oh, yeah, no, it's okay. I mean, Claire's going to get into a lot of trouble for having extended her visa, really.
I mean, going back to what you mentioned before about the first series, I think where this series suffers a bit is that there's not enough scenes of all the group together talking about their books, you know, like, you know, that was the sort of foundation of it's called the book group, for fuck's sake, but that's the kind of foundation of the first series. And and some of the best scenes in the first series are when they're all gathered together in someone's living room talking about the book, you know, and there's a few moments, but not as many.
No, I'd agree with you. I mean, some of the standout scenes in the first series are, as you say, about the group, the book, like The Little Engine That Could that scene is just epic, you know. It's still about fucking trains, Janice. It's wonderful. But yeah, you're right. In this series, I could hardly tell in some episodes what book they were reading. Yeah. Whereas the first series, the focus was on the book. Yeah. And then it was, and okay, at some points in the series, okay, you have the sexual life of Catherine M, which is obviously the sex book, which leads to probably my favourite part of the second series, when Rab is describing the best part he liked.
I liked it when she was in that park and there's all the lorry drivers, right, and they're all like firing into it like that, and then the police turn up, right, and she's banging away like that, and the police are there and she's looking at... and she doesn't know if the police are going to join in or no.
But yeah, you're right, they don't really go into, I mean, I think the series episode 3 or 4 is like about Spanish poetry. They read a poetry book, and of course that's when Carol Ann turns up and delivers she reads her favourite poem. But you're right, there's not a lot of emphasis on the books in this series. Yeah.
Like I mentioned before, the scenes that I continue to look forward to in this series are the scenes with Fist and Dirka, because Dirka's pregnant. And
is there a reason for that, Greg?
Well, I mean, obviously they're both gorgeous, but they're also really funny. You know, when they're arguing about when Fist can't understand why Dirka's got herself pregnant on purpose, and then with her deciding that she wants to have a baby as well, but she doesn't want to. You know, she wants to just find somebody intelligent to get her pregnant. You know what I mean? But the only thing is, like, it sort of runs out of steam a wee bit when she sort of gets back together with Bart, her boyfriend from the first series.
Yeah.
And the whole sort of the whole kind of wife swap scene, it doesn't really come to anything. Like, there's you sort of get the sense that something has happened that neither girl is very happy about. When they do the partner swap, although we don't see what happens, but when they do the partner swapping, because they're very tense with each other afterwards, and they're sniping at each other, and then of course, Linus, Dirka's husband, Lars, he turns up at
Lars.
Yeah. He turns up at the end of the episodes, like episode 5, like at Fisk's keyhole crying, try to get in. And it's like, well, I don't really know what's happened here, Well,
that's what I wondered that too, because obviously you have the whole wife swap scenario, and when you watch the episode, obviously you see it kind of from behind Dirka's and Bart's perspective, and Dirka seems quite into that swap. So I initially thought that was maybe why Fist was pissed off, because there is a kind of animosity between them.
Yeah.
When they meet for that final book group. Of course, as you say, you see Lars coming to Fist's door asking for just a kiss, just a kiss, and kissing the people. I don't know why. I can only presume maybe the actress was actually pregnant or had some other engagements that she couldn't film the last episode. But the last episode really missed Dirka.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, the book group's not complete without Dirka there.
Yeah.
And I can take the not having Barney there because we have Lachlan there, because of course it's James Lance, the same actor.
Yeah.
And that's what, again, we kind of need to discuss the difference in character. I mean, where do you stand on the Barney Lachlan debate? Because I like Barney from series 1. He's a bit of a dick. Obviously, he's a junkie. He's a kind of know-it-all, pretends he's a know-it-all. Lachlan is just an absolute sweetheart, but a bit kind of misguided. And where do you stand on the Barney Lachlan debate?
I mean, I think what I liked about, and I guess it's a sort of testament to James Lance, is that the characters are totally different. You know what I mean? Like, you don't see a little trace of Barney and Lance's performance of Lachlan. I think, they obviously wanted Claire to have a boyfriend. It had to be somebody who she could be the sort of stronger character of the two, I guess. Be not stronger, but be the more sort of dominant character of the two.
Yeah.
He's a bit unusual. There's a scene, of course, where he tries it on with Jane at the swimming baths and ends up falling in and hurting himself. And then he sort of becomes a bit of after that, he becomes a bit of a kind of whipping post. Like, Claire's obviously fed up with him. Her and Kenny have that moment in Kenny's flat, and then Lachlan has been sick over the fire escape at the wedding in the last episodes, and he hurts his back again and all that sort of stuff. But he constantly wants to have sex. He has this sort of bohemian, sort of new age attitude where he keeps asking her if they should have intercourse. Should we have intercourse? And she's like, no, I'm going to go and read. And he's like, okay, great. I might have a wank. No, I like Lachlan. I mean, I did like Barney as well. I was a little bit perplexed when they decided to kill him off in the last series.
Yeah.
I wonder what sort of drove that decision to write the character out, but then keep the actor around playing a different character. But I didn't mind Barney too much. I thought he's got some good scenes for sure.
I mean, when they killed off Barney, I genuinely thought it was because, James Lance was a up-and-coming English actor. He'd been in Alan Partridge, he'd been in a few other things. So I thought, okay, they've killed him off because he's probably just going to be in one series.
Yeah.
For them then to pop up as a different character in the second series, it was like, okay, a little bit perplexed as to why they've done this, but I can see it does work. I mean, I really like Lachlan. I think he's a sweet guy and he's a good foil-ish for Clare, but what I didn't understand about Claire's character in this series is there are 2 episodes, I think it's episode 1 and maybe episode 4, where she has like a hot flush and she's sweating and she has to get air. And I didn't know if they were leading to her being pregnant or if there was some sort of illness that she had, but it didn't seem to go anywhere.
No.
There's two very clear parts where she has this hot flush, and of course, Kenny has to look after her when she goes round to his. Mm-hmm. And of course, nice little bit of signal. I presume it's on purpose that Kenny's left her a muffin, which is, of course, what she calls Lachlan. Now, it never really was explained to me why she was doing that. Was she ill? Was she pregnant? What was going on there?
Don't know. I mean, I thought, it's her becoming overwhelmed with the situation or whatever, something like that, a bit of a panic attack or something. But but there's a lot. I think the only characters who seem to have a sort of starting point and an ending point in this second series are Rab and Janice. Janice, she starts a new career. She becomes quite infatuated with Rab. They have a bit of a thing, and then at the end, the farmers have all turned up to ask her to represent them in the Scottish Parliament. And Rab, he starts off at the training camp with Jackie. He has a thing with the Spanish footballer. Him and Jackie fall out, and then he decides that he's going to Spain to be with this guy that he really likes. And at the end of the episode, obviously, at the end of the last episode, we know that Rab's going to go off to Spain with his new Spanish boyfriend. We know, Jackie, he's sort of come to terms with his sexuality as well. He's quite open about it. He just sort of turns up kind of matter-of-factly with his friends, whereas, in all the other episodes when he's in that group, he never sort of betrays his sexuality to the group. He sort of just comes across as a sort of fairly normal straight fella. So he's got like a proper arc in the story, as Janice does. But to your point, the Clare thing, she's gone from being the kind of lead character in the first series that it all kind of revolves around to taking I wouldn't say a back seat, but I wouldn't describe her as the main character in this second series. Then you got Kenny, he's got that story going on he gets his book published and he starts working on another book, inexplicably has 2 serious relationships over the 6 episodes and in a moment with Clare. Lachlan, his character just seems to exist to be Clare's boyfriend, although we have the scene with him with his installation that he does at the swimming baths, and the scene we mentioned before when he hits on Jane and falls in the swimming pool. And then the whole Dirka and Fist thing that we just spoke about at length, like their storylines don't really go anywhere. When Dirka leaves in episode 5, it's fairly underwhelming exit. There's no sort of, it's kind of played down. She just says goodbye to everybody, she hugs a few people, and I hope you'll come and visit me in Sweden, and off she goes. And then with Fist, not really sure what's going on there. Is she back with Bart? Is she not? Is she still trying to get pregnant? Has she changed her mind? All these things are just left hanging, which is why I keep going back to it. I'm sure that I wouldn't be surprised if there's at least a treatment for a third series, if not some scripts.
Well, I think you could be right. I had resolution at the end in my notes, because obviously we have Rab off to Spain with Anselmo, happy, cheeky. We have Kenny is off to write Peaks in the Mist 2, more Peaks in the Mist. Yeah. Janice is off to become MMSP for the farmers, which is wonderful. Dirka is back in Sweden and probably having a baby and maybe more. Fist, I think she is back with Bart, because in the last episode they're in the bookshop, and that's when he famously says, "Oh, do you know in the Netherlands
the spines
go this way?" But it's not true. I went to my bookshop last week and double checked, and it's not true. It might have been true back in 2003, but I can safely say now that it's not true. Jean is married to Dougal. They're happy in their visa marriage. Yeah. The only couple that I don't really have a what happens next for is Clare and Lachlan. Yeah. And it is because it's kind of undecided between them, because Clare obviously wants to leave him. Lachlan knows that she wants to leave, but he's clinging on to it. And, Jean buys him the sofa at the end. So it's kind of like, okay, is that it? Are they just going to be there, live in the warehouse? I would love to have seen a third series. And I know it was never commissioned, but there was a film in development in 2006. It was apparently about to start being written, but it fizzled out and never actually happened. So I think this is all we're going to get for these characters. But I would love to see a book group reboot effectively and see what these characters are up to nowadays.
So maybe Claire, maybe she's back in America. Well, say she's still in Scotland, still trying to get a book out, or maybe she's had a book published, but it's not been particularly successful. Kenny's a sort of probably a one-man sort of Mills and Boon, Barbara Cartland type industry, firing the books out every year, but he's not finding it particularly satisfying.
I mean, 50 Shades of Grey would have done wonders for Kenny's book career. So he would have rocketed up with Kilt and Cock.
I mean, like I've seen Scottish people acting in pornography, and it's it's kind of like, it's sort of like maybe hearing your parents or your mates your flatmate next door with his girlfriend or something like that. It's kind of weird. Yeah, but I don't know, like, if I was speculating, like, what would Rab be up to now? I think, Janice might have gone on to maybe have a distinguished career as an MP, but then have recently been disgraced for some reason. You know what I mean? Just for, maybe she's still not very good at controlling her emotions, doesn't really know who she is. I'm not sure what Dirka and Fist would be doing after all that, it's almost 20 years since, I guess, as well. 19 years, right?
Yeah.
Since we were the last
19 years, yeah.
Yeah. What do you think the characters would be doing 20 years later?
Oh, I'm not sure. I think Dirka, obviously mother of probably 2-3 kids back in Sweden with Lars, living her life. Fist, no idea actually. Probably split from Bart.
Working in economics, perhaps?
Yeah, possibly. That's what she has a degree in, so maybe, she's grown up a bit. Don't know. I would love to have seen. Maybe we should write some book group fan fiction. Maybe there's some out there.
Yeah.
Did you spot the 2 famous cameos in this series?
No, I don't think so.
So Ian Robertson.
It's a farmer. Yeah, I spotted him, yeah.
Yeah, he's a farmer in there. Yeah. And we discussed this in Guilt Series 2. Did you spot Sarah Vickers?
No. Which character does she play?
She's the babysitter that Janice says, same time next Saturday.
Right, okay.
And it's literally a blink and you'll miss it. And she's only 14, so it's not that, But yeah, she's in it for all of one scene. And of course, we have, as not a main character, but one of the other big characters in this is Henry Ian Cusack as Miles. And he is Kenny's book agent. And he, of course, played a very famous role in Lost.
I never watched Lost. No.
Okay, you never watched Lost. Okay. So he was in Lost as quite a big character. I think he was introduced in the second series, but he had a very thick Scottish accent.
Oh, yeah.
Whereas in this, he has that kind of softer Edinburgh accent. But his daughter, Harriet, and this begs the question here, how old is Harriet? Because Kenny does describe her as a trophy shag, but I did kind of work out how old she probably is with a few lines she says. So how old do you think Harriet is?
I had a sort of hopefully I thought, 17, because it's slightly better, but perhaps 16, but hopefully no younger than that.
She has to show her fake ID, and then she's like, oh, it worked. So we know she's under 18, and that's when Kenny does say, how old are you?
Yeah.
And when they have the argument in the kitchen and she throws the carbonara on the floor and she says, women born after 1985 don't have to put up with this shit.
Yeah.
So I'd presume 2003, 1985, that would make her 17.
And she drives, right? She drives the Audi, so she must be 17.
Yes, she drives the Audi, so yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, she must be 17.
Yeah, I just found, I'll keep going on about it, I just found it all a bit weird, the whole Kenny love life thing. Like, because when it starts off with Carol Ann, you're like, oh, he can actually connect to Carol Ann in a way that he can't connect to any of the book group ladies, because she's also in a wheelchair, so she knows some of the things that people that wheelchair users have to deal with day to day and stuff. There's that scene when she gets herself up the stairs backwards in her chair. Yeah. And that kind of thing. So I kind of thought, maybe this will be like a big sort of love affair for Kenny, you know, and then it sort of fizzles out after 2 episodes, and you feel bad for her because she seems really into him, you know, after he seems to have had to do the kind of hard work in the first stages of the relationship, but then, you know, when he's doing his readings in the bookshop for the old wifeys, and she wants to give him a kiss, and he's like, oh, not in public and all that, and I was like, oh. You've kind of taken a character who is probably one of the most likable characters from the first series and made him a bit of a prick, just in saying something like that. You know what I mean, to his disabled girlfriend. I thought it was just strange choices. I thought
Kenny has another girlfriend. This one's called Harriet. She walks.
Hello, Harriet.
I think your bump is beautiful. You look like a koala bear.
Thank you.
Would it surprise you if I told you that Rory McCann won a Scottish BAFTA for Best TV Performance for this series?
it wouldn't surprise me because I know Rory. I knew he had a Scottish BAFTA for the big group.
Ah, well, okay then.
I don't think his performance is bad. I think he's brilliant as Kenny, but just making the character behave that way, I thought was a bit weird.
Yeah, I agree. I think they treaded on the first series and the second series of... There was kind of some flashback parts that, for example, when Fist finds out that Clare and Kenny have kissed...
Yeah.
And announces it to the group. And then the next scene is Dirka and Fist in the car. And are bitching about Kenny and Clare. Like, why does he like her? And that's exactly the same scene from series 1.
Yeah.
Where they see Kenny and Clare going off together and they're driving and bitching about them. So, yeah, I'd like that kind of flashback element. But they tried to do it. But I don't know, there was a few things missing from this series.
Yeah. So let me ask you, if you were going to, I don't think we did this when we did the first series, if you were going to start a book group and you could have anybody from Scotland, could be like an actor, could be a television presenter, could be a footballer, who would you have in your group? You can have
6 people in the book group.
You could have 5, so 6 including you.
And they all have to be Scottish.
Yeah, this is a Scottish podcast after all. So.
Okay, so in my book group, I'm going to have, I'll have you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so,
Thanks,
yeah, is that okay?
Yep, I'd love to be a member.
All right, fantastic. I'll have... Why do I have Irvin Welsh? Because he's obviously an author and he'll be able to bring some books and also some insight into that world.
Yeah.
I'm going to have Jenny Faulkner because she is, brings a bit of glamour and I think she's very knowledgeable and I do really like her. I'm going to have Pat Nevin.
Right.
because ex-footballer, he's written a book and we can chat about music. I'm going to have Douglas Anderson.
Okay.
The broadcaster, because I think he's very intelligent. He likes books and he loves Columbo. So he'll be good for the book group. How many have I got there?
We see Anderson, Nevin, Welsh, me. I can have one more. Oh, no, Faulkner. Oh, you've done them all. You've filled your book group up. Faulkner, Nevin,
okay,
Anderson, me, and Irvin Welsh. That's your 5.
Okay, yeah, I'm happy with that. That's
nice.
my book group. Yeah, that's a good book group. I'm happy with that. What about yourself?
Who would I have at mine? I think I'd have Peter Mullen. I think he would be an interesting guy to have around.
Yeah.
Talk about books. Robin Galloway.
Oh, wow.
He just seems like a nice fella. Yeah, he seems like a good...
Yeah, I've met Robin Galloway.
Yeah, I've seen him around Aberdeen. I've never met him, but I occasionally saw him around town when I lived in Aberdeen. Who else? Claire Grogan,
That's a great shout.
The eye candy, and I'm sure, well-informed insights she could bring. I could ask her lots of things about Gregory's Girl and Altered Images as well. I could get her to spill the beans on Gary Kemp, because I suspect that there's something there with Gary Kemp. Not sure what it is. Don't think he's as nice as he comes across on his Rockin' Tours podcast. So that's my 3. Who else? I mean, I know he's not alive anymore, but if we're suspending disbelief, I'd have Ricky Fulton, because I'm sure he'd have us all in stitches.
Yeah.
I need another woman, don't I?
Elaine C. Smith?
Yeah, good shout. Yeah, that'll be good. Well, but I haven't invited you. I feel bad now, because you invited me to yours.
It's okay. I was going to suggest I swap you out for Alex Norton anyway, so it's fine.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah. It's fair enough. Alex Norton would be a lot more interesting than me.
Not at all.
Yeah, I think if I haven't seen Rory McCann for well over 10 years since the last time I seen him, but if I happen to see him again, I'm going to ask him if there was ever talk of a third series, because I know he was friends with the writer that's how he ended up being in it. So I have to ask him if he, I'm sure he's probably still friends with her, if she ever started working the third series, so we could find out what happened to all their friends in the book group.
Yeah, it would be lovely to know what happens to everyone and see what they're all doing nowadays. It would be so good. Yeah. Love to see that. I mean, Lachlan and Clare, I'd love to know what happens to them and what they're up to.
Trapped in a loveless marriage.
Yeah.
Kitchen cupboards full of olive oil, tree branches. Shall we put series 2 of the book group through our Swally Awards?
Let's go for it then, Greg. What have we got first?
Well, so the Bobby the Bartender Award for the best pub. What did you go for?
Well, there was only a couple, really. There's the bar that Harriet and Kenny go to when she gets ID'd, when they get the bottle of cava. There's a couple of Spanish bars that Rab's in, but I gave it to the Mexican restaurant that they have the wedding party in. It has an inflatable tequila bottle, and I had one of those in my bedroom that I stole from Daytona.
I bet it was in the corner of your bedroom for about a day before you got fucking fed up with it, let the air out of it and archived it. It
was in there for about a month or so, and then, it got in the way and the air came out and deflated, and then it just got chucked in the bin.
I remember, I think it must have been, would it have been the summer of Spider-Man? It must have been around 2002, and for my birthday, you and our mutual friend bought me a sort of full-sized inflatable Spider-Man. Do you remember?
Yeah, I do.
I remember blowing it up and sort of sticking it in the window of my bedroom in the flat at Elmbank Terrace that I shared with our mutual friend. Yeah, I never had many girls back to that flat, and maybe that's in retrospect, maybe that's why. You know?
Maybe.
Yeah, I've got like what appears to be the silhouette of a sex doll in my bedroom window. Yeah, I liked the Mexican one. I had that written down, but I also liked the pub where Jane runs into Miles and she, she kind of browbeats him into, well, she doesn't. She tells him she's going to write this book. Well, he's drowning his sorrows because Harriet's fucked off with Kenny and his Audi, and she approaches him about the book that she's planning. Okay, next one then. So the Ewan McGregor Award for gratuitous nudity. So I'll go first. There's not a great deal of gratuitous sort of nudity. The Rab lovemaking scene is pretty full on, and in the sort of fantasy scene when Janice is in the bath and she gets up out the bath. There's a very brief moment as she's putting the towel around herself. But I did like that scene with Big Jackie. What are you shagging him for? And Rab, I'm on after you. It's a funny scene. What did you go for?
I did not spot the brief nipple of Janice in the bath scene. No, I didn't see that. I gave it to Rab and Anselmo for their rather graphic sex scene.
Yeah, I mean, I was
2003 on Channel 4 at 9:30 p.m.
Yeah, I mean, I was surprised by that. I mean, I suppose it's like I think Queer as Folk, which was also on Channel 4 and was kind of controversial for its graphic homosexual sex scenes. That was like maybe 3 years before.
Yeah.
I think it was like 99 or 2000. So yeah, I mean, and I think because there'd been no sort of sex scene, homo nor hetero really in the first series to speak of. To like that first episode to have that full on, like, it's like fucking hell. You know, a Spanish guy with his broken legs sticking out and all that, and yeah. So the next award then, the James Cosmo Award for popping up in lots of Scottish productions. What did you go for?
I had to give it to Derek Riddle.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people in this, but I think Derek Riddle has probably been in the most.
Yeah, I gave it to Derek Riddle, but I did give an honourable mention to Frank Gallagher for getting 2 episodes out of
course,
it.
Yeah.
You know, he's sort of, I think he's one of the regular characters on River City these days, I believe.
He is, yeah. And he was in Young Person's Guide to Becoming a Rock Star, of course, yeah.
He was, yep. There's a little bit of irony, actually, because this is the third thing that we've covered that Frank Gallagher's appeared in. You've mentioned Young Person's Guide, obviously Orphans.
Yeah.
He's got a big part in Orphans as Tanja. But in both Orphans and this, there's a scene with him and a load of spunk. Because obviously in Orphans, there's a famous scene when they're spying on the guy having a wank and the guy turns and shoots his load into Tange's face. And then in this one, as you mentioned earlier, we see his perils shooting up into the air in the scene with Jane. So I'd point that out. Okay, the next award then, the Jake McQuillan Your Tease Out Award. I think I know what you're going to go for.
Janice headbutting Anselmo.
The thing is, so when I was watching that, I was thinking, she looks like she's going to stick a nut in him. But she sort of slaps him first, I think, and then headbutts him. You know?
I'd read in my notes that, like, obviously it's Clare letting the air out of Kenny's tyres with her hairpin.
Right, yeah.
And then, of course, last episode, Janice just absolutely sticks the nut on Anselmo. And I was like, okay, scrub out Clare and Kenny. That's the winner. Yeah, it's beautiful the way she just launches at him.
Janice, I've got to tell you something.
Oh, yes?
I'm moving to Spain.
What?
I'm moving to Spain. I'm going to work for Anselmo. He needs a personal trainer.
No, but you can't. You can't leave my house, Rab.
I'm sorry, Janice, but it's something I've been thinking a lot about.
All through the year.
I'm leaving, Jack.
No, don't do that.
I can't live without you, Rab.
You can, Janice. I mean, I'm a shite pal for you.
Roberto, vámonos al hotel. A esta tía se le va la cabeza.
Now just you stop talking Mexican there, Chico. This is my man and he's not going anywhere without me.
Janice, you're bladder. Would you say we call you a taxi, get you home to your bed?
I'm not going anywhere without you, Rab.
Oye, vámonos. Ya, ¿eh? Esta tía está borracha.
He's with me, hombre.
Now this is what I call a party.
No me toques el traje, que es un Dolce Gabbana, ¿eh? Y me ha costado 2.000 euros. ¿Estamos? ¿Eh?
I didn't note anything down for this one because I didn't know anything down for it when I was watching it, and then I couldn't recollect anyone. But what did you have for the Francis Begbie Gratuitous Swearing Award?
There's a couple on this, but not a huge amount of standouts. I did like when Janice and Rab are in the supermarket and he picks out frozen peas, and they're saying that they have to buy only Scottish produce now, Rab.
Yeah.
And he looks at the peas and he goes, fuck, they're Portuguese, and throws them back in the freezer. But I actually gave it to Dirka because there's a scene with Fist and Dirka having a conversation, and Dirka turns to Fist and says, fuck you, I'm beautiful. And I just thought that was really nice. And especially in Dirka's Swedish accent, it was just nice and funny the way it came out. And that was the one that won it for me, and I thought was the best use of swearing. But there wasn't as much swearing in this series as the first one.
No.
There was no cunts, because they have the famous cunt scene in the first series, but a little bit less swearing.
Okay. Next then, the archetypal Scottish moment.
What did you have for this?
So I toiled a wee bit and I settled on sightseeing in Loch Lomond. Seems like quite an archetypal Scottish thing to do on a sunny day, or if you've got visitors in town, sort of driving up from Glasgow to Ballach, you know.
Okay.
What did you go for?
This is probably the category that I often struggle with on this Swally. That sometimes you're watching something and I have to pick out, like, I'll pick the Highland Coo or something tartan. With this, I had an abundance. Okay. And I couldn't pick one, but I kind of have. So the few I selected are Janice and the Scottish wool aspect of this. I picked Jean with everyone in Glasgow smells of sour mash whiskey. I had Janice when in the last episode, after she snogged Rab, she comes into the church looking like Scottish Widows advert.
Yeah.
Wonderful, I guess very much a Scottish terminology. When Jean gets her hair done after she's met her madam, and she comes in and she said, yeah, I've got my hair done. She does Homer's. And Homer's, it's very much a Scottish thing, isn't it? Because I remember my sister used to cut hair and she did Homer's.
Yeah.
And whenever we had any work done in the house, like a joiner or wallpapering, it was always a Homer that was done. So a Homer...
It's a Scottish thing for sure.
Yeah, very Scottish.
Yeah, because my dad used to do Homer's as a painter and decorator. He would do Homer's, yeah.
However, the one thing that really screams Scotland to me is when Kenny is breaking up with Kerry Ann and she says, I'm missing my programme.
I hate this.
Hate what?
I don't know what to say. And I don't want to be one of those blokes who just doesn't call you.
Are you dumping me?
Aye. I mean, Caroline, it's enough me being in the chair. But the two of us, it's like a club or something.
I'm missing my programme.
Will you not get angry with me so I can get drunk and puke?
I'd rather see my programme.
Oh, come on!
You were a shite shag, Kenny MacLeod.
That wasn't that bad. You did all right.
Yeah. Yeah, it's quite Scottish. Like when she tells him though, because they have the scene together when she tells him that she can't feel anything around her genitals, that she's no feeling there. And then when they break up and she leaves, she tells him that he was a crap shag anyway. And I was thinking, how do you know? You know? but then Kenny's got the, I wasn't that bad. You know. Yeah, that's a good one.
Not worth missing our programme for.
I mean, I feel like I've probably mentioned this before, but I remember my granny who lived by herself because my granddad was in a home, and she before, like, this was a woman that could barely work like her central heating, but she got a video recorder from Radio Rentals, and she would tape, because you remember, like, back in the 80s and 90s, like, during the day there'd be sort of shitey Australian soaps on. So you had like the good ones like Neighbours, and to a lesser extent Home and Away. Then you had the shiters like Sons and Daughters and Young Doctors and all that, you know.
A Country Practice.
Yep. And she would, the Sullivans, and she would she would tape all that shit, because she used to go and see my granda in the hospital on a Wednesday and a Saturday, but she was always out and about during the day, so she would tape all that, and then in the evening she'd watch like the ones that were broadcast, but it was Emmerdale Farm, Coronation Street, EastEnders, and the Friday she'd watched Dynasty, it used to be on, and the Colbys, and she'd watch all the programmes that she'd taped. And she'd stay up and watch Prisoner as well. I mean, I've never known anybody, like, I know that we watch quite a lot of TV, and you and I complain all the time that, it's difficult to find time. Like, if our mutual friend says, you got to watch fucking Gangs of London, it's really good, and we're like, fucking hell, I've got to watch this, and then I've got to watch this, I've got to watch this. Somehow that wee woman, despite being busy, managed to keep up with about probably a dozen fucking soaps. And then when new ones came in, like El Dorado, when that came on for a little while, she fucking watched that as well. I was just like, the discipline and commitment to stay on top of all these programs. So you got to take my hat off to her. Okay, then the last award, the Sean Connery Award. Who won the show for you?
I think we'll both be in agreement here that it's Michelle Gomez.
Yeah, she's brilliant.
It's her physical comedy in this. It's just brilliant, you know, when she falls in front of the priest, and she's just brilliant.
She's really good. I mean, like I said earlier, she plays these sort of eccentric characters so well. You know what I mean? She's brilliant. Yeah, well done, Michelle. She's just actually signed up to be, I don't know if I've never watched it, but one of the DC TV shows that I think it's on America, called The Doom Patrol. I think she's signed up for the third series of that. Brendan Fraser is in it.
Yeah.
A few other people.
Okay.
No,
I'll never watch that.
I never watched it. But I did see them, because I watched Titans on Netflix, like the first series of Titans, and they introduced those characters in that for the spin-off. But I've not kept up with Titans either. It's hard keeping up with telly. Unless you're a 65-year-old Glaswegian woman, evidently.
Evidently so. Okay, so, well, we'll look forward to seeing her in that soon.
Or not.
Or not, yes, of course. Yeah, probably won't. Okay, so the book group Series 2, close the chapter on that. That was my choice. Mm-hmm. So it's your choice next time on the Swally, Greg. So why don't you tell us what we're going to be looking at?
Well, I thought I'd go for something that neither of us... Well, I don't think you've seen this before. So I've picked the BBC Scotland 2-part miniseries from 2015 based on the Ian Banks novel of the same name, Stonemouth.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Starring Christian Cook and Swally favourite Peter Mullen. Thought we'd go for that this time round.
I've read the book, but I've never seen the TV adaptation, so I'll look forward to that. Thank you.
I've read the book as well, but I read it when it first came out, so like 10 years ago. So I don't remember I remember the sort of basic premise, but I don't remember a lot of the detail.
That was not what I was expecting you to pick.
I know.
Okay.
I know. I thought I'd save what I think you would expect me to pick for maybe next year, because we've got some stuff coming up, and it's only a 2-parter, so it's not a big commitment, to watch. So
because you looked at what I was expecting you to pick and realised, it's 6 hours long. Oh no, let's pick something shorter. No, that's fine. Yeah, I'll look forward to watching Stonemouth with you then, and we'll do that later or early in the year. All right, well, thank you so much for listening, everyone. Hope you enjoyed the show. If you want to give us a little follow, you can. You can follow us on Instagram at cultureswallypod, or you can follow us on Twitter at swallypod. And if you have seen anything that you would like us to cover, review, any news stories that you find funny that you would like us to talk about on the Swally, then please email us on cultureswally@gmail.com. And if you want to just send us a little note or a message, get in touch, say hello, give us a little review anywhere, please feel free to, because we do respond to any of our messages, and it's so nice to hear from our listeners as well. So please don't feel shy, get in touch. And of course, rate, review, subscribe wherever you get podcasts. Really helps the podcast to grow. And Greg is about to tell you about our website.
Yep, you can find us at cultureswally.com. There's links to our socials on there. There's links to all our episodes, a couple of articles, hopefully more articles soon, to get some stuff written down and uploaded onto there. And also check out some of the other podcasts on the Scottish podcast collaboration. There'll be a lot of stuff coming up towards the end of the year. We mentioned the one that we're doing in November. But yeah, check those guys out and give them a bit of a boost on the old reviews. It all helps.
Yeah, it certainly does. As Greg says, we will probably put a couple of episodes on our feed from other Scottish podcasts. So if you download them and you like them, then feel free to go onto their feed and give them a download as well and help support Scottish podcasts. Right, wonderful. Well, I'm off to go and watch Stonemouth now in anticipation of the next episode. So yeah. I'm not going to read the book again, though. I'm currently reading Heat 2.
Me too.
Which is good.
I just started it. It the other day. Yeah, I've only like a couple of chapters in, but yeah, I'm really enjoying it.
Yeah, me too. Okay, well, everyone, go download Stonemouth, read the book, watch the film. We will see you next time on the Swally. Until next time.
Till next time.
I think it's great that you're learning some Spanish, Rob. So you talking to Anselmo there?
Aye.
It's not as hard as the boys think, speaking Spanish.
Well, some of the words are dead familiar.
That's right. You've just got to listen.
Damn, what's bally?
Bally? Bally means, okay then, all right. It's a good word to know.
Bally. Bally.
What's it?
Cheeky.
Cheeky?
Aye, is that chicken? Is that 2 chickens?
Rab, cheeky means sex.
Really?
Aye.